Hello, my name is Neil Good. I'm with the Good Law Group. Today I'm going to talk about suggestions on how to fill out the function report. The number on the function report is 3373. They have different versions of it also, but the rules I'm going to tell you to start are important, I think, for anything that basically you send to Social Security. So the first thing I would tell you is keep your answer short. The second thing I would tell you is don't give them too much information. The third thing I would say is after you've done it, let somebody look it over, a third person, somebody you know, because you just don't really know what you're saying sometimes. The fourth thing I would say is if you put in front of the questions on a bad day, because what you're trying to do is give Social Security a picture of what you do on the days that you couldn't work, okay? So don't talk about good days where, if you don't have a migraine headache, you're out and about. Talk about the days when you have a migraine headache and you're stuck in the house. Okay, so I'm going to assume that, you know how to fill out your name and your social and all that stuff. The first question, or question 5, is how do your illness, injuries, or conditions limit your ability to work? Okay, and I see people get this question wrong all the time. A lot of people think this is their chance to tell them what's wrong with them. It isn't. They want to know how your condition stops you from working. So, for example, if you have a bad back and you can't lift more than 10 pounds or stand more than 10 minutes. My job required me to stand 6 hours a day, and I can't stand for more than 10 minutes. So for every disability you have, there ought to be a way that it affects your ability to work. The next one is, what do you do on a typical day? And they say from when you wake up till the time you go to bed. Okay, again, keep your answer short, okay? These things, in my mind, only hurt people, okay? They don't use them to help them. So you get up, you take your medicine, you're in pain, you watch TV, take a nap, have lunch, watch TV, read, take a nap, go to bed. That's simple. Don't fill this whole thing up, okay? Because almost anything you say you do, they could turn against you. And they don't use these things to help people. The other one is care. The next group is caring for others, like a family member or a pet. So let's talk about family members first. So when they ask you about taking care of a family member, they're really referencing cooking, cleaning, laundry, grocery shopping. I'll give you an example. I had a girl about 2 years ago. She was in a wheelchair, and the case went to court. And she answered this question. I take care of my grandmother. And she comes into my office in a wheelchair, and I'm like, how do you take care of your grandmother if you're in a wheelchair? So we're in Illinois right now, and that's where she was. And her grandmother was in California, she told me. So how do you do that? Well, I'm the trustee for her estate, and I write the check to the nursing home every month. Well, that isn't what Social Security was asking, and that actually was a big part of what the trial was. I mean, the judge went, how do you take care of your grandmother? So she kind of didn't understand. So one thing you have to try and do is understand what they're asking before you answer the question. At our firm here, I tell people, use my firm. Don't send something back to them until one of the paralegals here looks it over. And I tell people, this doesn't have to be one of my paralegals. If you have a husband or a spouse or a parent, let them look it over so it makes sense. And the same thing with pets. I mean, if you have a bad back and you have a 50-pound dog, and you say you walk your dog every day, that's a problem, okay? It's one thing if you have a pet like a cat or a dog that, you sit with and you take, you pet it because you feel bad. It's a completely different thing if you're taking care of it. I mean, think about it. If you're taking care of a dog that weighs 50 pounds, how do you get the food in the house, Well, somebody else is doing that. So you're not really taking care of it. The next thing I'm going to talk about is this section 12 on personal care. I think this is a pretty important section that a lot of people ignore. Okay, so what happens is a lot of people, they write a lot of stuff and then they kind of skip this. And this is pretty important. I mean, if you have a bad back or when you have a migraine headache, if the first thing they ask about getting dressed, well, I mean, if you have a bad back and you have trouble bending over, then putting your pants on is difficult. And then they talk about bathing, hair care, shaving. So, are you able to bathe every day? Do you actually take a bath, or have you switched from a bath to a shower? Do you have a shower chair now that you didn't have before? Those are things that you could fill in there. So, I mean, almost every disability affects how you do take care of your personal self. So I think that I've spoken long enough about this today, but I'm not done. So what I'd like to do is, on the next video, complete this. I finished through about page 5. So thank you for listening today. If you have any questions about this, or you need assistance with getting disability and filling out these forms, please contact my firm at the address and information below. Thank you.